D, wait for it, light bulb.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So I got a chance to see Terminator Dark Fate, and I have to say I am a huge Terminator fan. I loved this movie when I was a kid. Terminator 2 came out when I was a little bit younger. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I just remember seeing it in the theater, and I loved that movie. It was so good, and I just remember, I remember crying when John Connor, when he was like, I have to go, John Connor, or whatever he said. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then he lowered into the molting lava thingy, and it was like, and everything. So, and I was just like, don't go, and everything. He's like, I order you not to leave. I order you not to leave, or whatever he said. And I just remember like, don't go, Terminator. Anyways, so this movie. They're being all like, oh, this is the best Terminator since T2, and I'm all like, that's hard. I mean, what came out after it? T3? I mean, come on, that movie was no good. So I'm like, it wasn't hard, so stop, making it sound like this is the best Terminator ever. It's not. Terminator 2 is. But I have to say, this movie isn't bad, but it's not good. And I'm going to tell you right now, what really hurt it for me was in the first, 5 minutes of the movie. And I'm going to talk about that in length because I'll talk about it right now and just get it out of the way. So the first 5 minutes, Sarah Connor and John Connor are in, I believe it's Mexico, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But they're in another country, and they're at this beach little bar or whatever, and she's sitting at a table and she's carefree because this is right after T2 or sometime after T2. And and long story short, John Connor gets killed. He gets shot by another Terminator. Now I have to say, this totally threw me as soon as I saw it. I was like, what? And everything. Because I thought when they announced at Comic-Con that Edward Furlong would be back for this movie, I honestly, what I had envisioned for this movie is I thought they would show a John Connor that had grown up to an adult, not feeling like, hey, I'm going to be the savior of the world anymore because it's over with. And I thought they would show what his life would be like not being the savior of the world. Because in Terminator 3... they had done it, but he still was on the move. This movie, I thought they would show him, maybe having a family and all that stuff. And I really was like, this is some nonsense. And I really think that they did a disservice to the past Terminator movies, especially Terminator 2, T2. I really thought that it was kind of shitting all over it and saying, that movie was good, but we're just going to take everything away from it and just throw it out the door. And I go, what are you doing? So I really did have a problem with that. I really thought that they had such an opportunity to expand on that character, John Connor's character, and they didn't take it. They just threw him by the wayside, and it was really a disservice. So there's that. As far as this movie's storyline goes, I really thought it was kind of bland. I mean, first off, the whole, it's not Skynet anymore, it's Legion. I'm like, stop it. Just call it Skynet again. I mean, you can still have the same problems. I'm like, just because you got rid of all the chips doesn't mean that Skynet doesn't have to come about and everything. But so it's like, whatever, it's fine, you're naming it Legion, it's still Skynet. Anyways, so, but, I really wish they would have shown more in the future or whatnot. So the new savior of the world is, this character is played by Natalia Reyes, and it's Daniela Ramos? I didn't write it down in my notes on what her name is. Sorry, but they call her Dani. We're just going to call her Dani from now on. If I got her last name wrong, please don't get mad at me, okay? So she's now the new savior of the world, and I'm fine with it being a woman. That part didn't bother me. What really bothered me is that she didn't come across as kind of like a savior of the world in the future. I really wish they would have shown her kind of doing her thing, and they didn't. So I was just like, oh, okay, and everything. And then plus in the movie, she really didn't do anything, and I really felt like, as far as the character goes, it was weak. And I really wish they would have done more with her. Kind of like what they did with John Connor. Because I know John Connor's a little kid in T2, but he did some stuff. Like he had his little computer hacking skills and all that kind of stuff. This one, she didn't do anything, but she ran. I mean, she kind of helped out in the last battle in that in that factory or whatever. But other than that, I was just like, oh, they kind of didn't do anything with her. And I really wish they would have. I really wish they would have had her do a little bit more, because she's an adult. She's an adult. She can totally pull it off. But anyways, so besides the point, but Natalia Reyes, I hope that's her last name too. Natalia Reyes, that's her last name. I'm pretty sure I got it right. She did a good job playing that character and everything. And I did. And the one thing it was a big reveal that she's the savior, and I was like, stop it. I called it as soon as they the Grace was all like, why do I want to punch you right now? Anyway, so moving on. So the first character that I want to, because I'm just going to go by characters, and I just want to talk about my favorite character, and that was Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor. She did a fantastic job in this movie. And I want to say, there's people that did the CGI in this movie, kudos to you. You guys rocked it out. Like, when making her younger, she looked fantastic. And John Connor, they looked fantastic. I honestly was all like, I thought it was them. It was so good. They did such a good job replicating them from T2. It was so good. It was so good. And everything. I mean, I hate comparing movies and everything because they're their own standalone, but you kind of have to compare it a little bit. And comparing it from the young Sarah Connor from T2 to this one, flawless. Same thing with John Connor. Completely flawless, and I loved it. But I really loved her in this movie because she loses her son, and then she gets a sense of, what do I do now? My son is dead. And you know what I really liked? I really liked the line, the part where she goes, I don't even have a picture of him, and I'm starting to forget what he looks like. I'm paraphrasing because I didn't write it down and I don't have a recording of the movie, but she said something about how she didn't take a picture of him because she didn't want Skynet to ever know what he looked like. And so she didn't even have a picture, and she started to forget what he looked like. And I was like, as a parent, I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, that is so sad. So sad when you start to forget what your child looks like. It was kind of heartbreaking. The line that I didn't like was when she was talking to Danny's character, and she was all like, they don't want you, they want your womb, or you're just a womb, or whatever. And I was all like, yo, Sarah, calm it down, okay? Because even though your child was the savior of the future, that doesn't mean that you didn't have purpose, okay? Because even with just you, like your only purpose was to give birth to the savior of the world, to Jesus, you still had a good job of protecting him. I mean, you used weapons all the time. You could fight a little bit. I mean, stop it. You're not giving yourself enough credit. I really didn't think that she gave enough credit. And if Danny was giving birth to the new savior, which she was the savior, she wasn't giving Danny enough credit as far as she could become the next Sarah Connor and everything. So I didn't like that line at all. So the next character I want to talk about that was my second favorite was Grace. I really liked this character. And she was played by Mackenzie Davis. And I like Mackenzie Davis. I think she's a good actress. So far, I've only seen her in Tully and then something else. But every time I see her in something, I always think that she does a good job. And this movie is also something that she did a good job in this movie. I really did enjoy her performance. She was very tough. All the action sequences were great with her in them, and not with her in them, but whatever. She just did such a great job, and I really liked her a lot in this movie. I don't know what else to say exactly, except for I did enjoy her character, and I did enjoy her as an actress. I really did think that she did a good job. And then talking about her, I want to just real quick jump over to Gabriel Luna, who played the Rev 9. Now, I have to say, I'm kind of annoyed that first off, they called it a Rev 9, which is weird. I don't know. But anyways, so he was like this advanced Terminator, and now Gabriel Luna, he didn't have like an overwhelming amount of acting to do. He was very like dead face kind of the whole time, but that's what a Terminator is. So he did a good job as far as that goes. But one thing that the one thing that they did in the movie, he didn't do anything. One thing that they did in the movie was they had him have a second Terminator like attached to him. And I kind of did like that. I thought that was pretty cool as far as when he needed to get out of that truck in that car chase scene, and the other and he was like pinned down. The other Terminator just got off of him and attacked them. So I thought that was a smart move as far as story wise, and as far as Skynet goes, that's what they would go forward with just being like, hey, how do we adapt and make this better and everything. Now, as far as Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator, now I don't know how I feel about him being a brand new Terminator, and like being in a sexless marriage and being called Carl or whatever. I don't know how I feel about that whole thing. I kind of don't like it now that I'm starting to like reel it in my mind, but I really would have to sit down and really think about it if I liked it. But if I have to give you an answer right now, the answer is no, I do not like it. And I'm really like curious as to why he was a T800 model, because why wouldn't they just send back the T1000 that was in T2 that was all liquefied-y and everything? I mean, why would Skynet send like more than one T800 when they could just send the T1000 back and he can change his appearance and stuff? I don't know. I didn't understand that, but it was fine. That part didn't bother me like as much as I'm talking about it right now, but I did while watching it. I'm just like, why didn't they just send back one of those really cool Terminators, one of those liquidy Terminators? But they sent back Gabriel Luna's character, so I mean, and he was very liquidy. But I didn't like this Terminator in the movie as much, just because like I just feel like he was just so like, I don't know, like it was. Yeah, I don't like it. Like, he was, like, in a sexless marriage, and he stayed behind to raise a kid, and it was so weird. Like, he's all like, I learned love, or whatever he was saying. I can't remember off the top of my head all of the lines that he gave. One thing that he did say that I found very funny was his business that Carl's, like, upholstery or something like that. He was talking about, doing a baby's room, like decorating a baby's room, and they wanted to do a solid color for the window drapes, and he's like, you cannot do a solid color, you gotta pick a pattern like polka dots or stripes or something like that. I can't remember, but I remember I got a good chuckle out of it, because I was like, that is funny that he is saying that. I just like hearing Arnold Schwarzenegger say stuff like that. So he did a good job, and he was pretty funny in this movie, but every time I think about it, I'm just like, why was he, like, in this movie? And he kept sending Sarah Connor those coordinates, and I just but I did like that part, so maybe they did need to have him, because I did like that he kept sending her coordinates, aka giving her a mission after she lost her son. But I again, going back to that first 5 minutes, I really wish they wouldn't have killed John Connor and had Edward Furlong in this movie, like really had him in this movie, because it really would have been interesting. Like, if they would have killed him as an adult, I would have found that way better, just because I really wanted to see, I thought it would have been interesting to see them create a character, have him be who he was without knowing that he was no longer the savior of the world. Or maybe he was so paranoid still because he was like, I have to always look out because I never know when Skynet's coming around. But I don't know. It would have just been interesting to see him as an adult. Now, as far as the stuff they're trying to say behind this movie, they did talk, I did think they were trying to talk about immigration in this country right now, and they also tried to talk a little bit about, at the beginning, about robots taking jobs from humans. And I think that first off, a small piece of me doesn't like when they try to do that with movies, because it's like, when I go to a movie, I'm trying to get away from the real world. I don't want to be thrown into it all the time. But at the same time, I do like those because sometimes they make me think a little bit. And for this one, the one that I was more attracted to was the machines taking over human jobs, because that not that immigration's not a problem. I'm going to get into that. Just give me 2 seconds. But when it comes to machines taking over jobs, that's actually really something that we need to start like thinking about, because like Danny's brother in the beginning of the movie, by the way, the actor that played Danny's brother did a really good job too. But we do have to think about that, because, robots are taking the jobs of actual human beings. I mean, and that might be a problem in the future. And we do have to think about that. It's very, oh gosh, what's that name? It doesn't matter. It's very crazy to think about. Now, as far as the immigration thing, yes, there are some things with immigration that are going on. Some things people don't like, some things people do like. It's such a complicated conversation. that I think that for me personally, when I go in to see a movie, I don't want that stuff brought into my movie. I just want to be able to go into a movie and watch it, enjoy myself, escape from the real world for a hot minute, and then come back and deal with all the nonsense of it. But this movie did bring it in, which is fine. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, come on, I just want to see stuff blow up and stuff. But yeah, so in conclusion, Terminator 2 was a groundbreaking movie and such an overwhelmingly great experience that I think that Terminator Dark Fate falls short. And to say it's the best movie since T2 is no big deal. And I think that James Cameron is no longer can be the savior of the Terminator franchise. In fact, he has set it back just one more step after this movie. And in saying that, it's not a bad movie. It's just not that great. Like, anybody that, like, I don't even know if this would come right after Terminator 2. I don't, as far as ranking goes. I'll do a ranking later, but as far as ranking goes, this would definitely not be my number 2. It would not be. So, tell me, what did you guys think about Terminator Dark Fate? I know everybody's got their own review on this, but I'm just throwing my 2 cents in. Did you like the movie? Did you not like the movie? What was your favorite part about the movie? Who was your favorite character? Were you bummed about that first 5 minutes like I was? Go ahead and leave all your comments, even the angry ones, in that comment section down below. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. I will see you guys on the next movie review. Bye.